Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Gibson Show. And today I am joined by the one and only Shrimzy from Soniqs. Shrimzy, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, and you?
Doing good. It's good to get to do these, getting to know all the people in the NA scene a bit better, because I've spoke to a lot of you before in drips and drabs, but never really like this.
Yeah, it's nice. I like the personal and intimate touch of people trying to get to know each other, especially online where you don't have like in-person tournaments and stuff, and you're not always there. It's nice to talk to people and just be around.
And I think that there definitely is like a real lack of content when it comes to PUBG, especially player related content. You have a lot of people streaming and putting up gameplay clips, but it can be difficult sometimes to kind of get to know the people behind the gamer tag.
For sure, definitely. I think PUBG, for the main part, when it comes to in-person tournaments, does a pretty good job, but outside of that, it's really hard for them to. Obviously, getting everybody together and stuff like that, like scheduling stuff, is hard for esports players because people are kind of like not great when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, I love doing content and being around and just being involved with the community. So it's nice.
Yeah, well, you were definitely one of the people that were high up on my list that I wanted to talk to. So we'll kind of get stuck in. Basically, we want to get a wee talk about your career so far and playing for the Soniqs. That means pretty good things. You look down through the list of tournaments you've played in, a lot of firsts, a lot of seconds, and very few finishes and placements below that. But I want to go way back to the start. You played on a different roster way back in 2019. You had a couple of guys in there like Vegas that people had known about when you were getting into the competitive scene. What was it like playing on that old roster way back in the National PUBG League, way back in back in the day?
It was super fun. That was basically my breakout moment. I was joining Ghost back in, I think it was February of 2019, and being able to play the second half of NPL Phase 1 and then being able to continue and finish out NPL with Ghost was super great. The owner was super great. He was very, very kind to us. And the team itself was fantastic. I loved Drassel. I loved McCoy. And then we had Balak and Vegas switch out, which was great. I loved Balak. I love Vegas. And it was just really fun. And that was the main part about NPL, was just everyone being around each other and being able to interact with each other. And if something cool happened, everybody can enjoy it together. If something terrible happened, everybody could enjoy it together, So that was the best part of NPL. I really enjoyed the roster. I really enjoyed playing with Ghost. Again, it's like kind of like a bittersweet moment for me because this is my first breakout roster. Obviously, I still love Drassel. I still love McCoy. I don't really get to talk to anybody really besides Drassel nowadays because they're all kind of doing their own thing. Vegas is still around, but I don't really talk to him that much. He's kind of in his own little group. I'm in my own little group, so.
Yeah, because I think shortly after that, you guys moved on, and it was kind of the start of the magic for you in your career. You met H1, you met Mime, the three of you kind of got together way back in 2020, and you've been together ever since. So you've had a lot of success together. We'll talk a little bit more about Tig joining the roster a little bit later on in the interview, but was that chemistry there from the very first minute you guys kind of played together or tried together? Like, talk us through how the three of you met and decided to come together on that roster.
It was kind of H-Win's making. He and Profi were looking to rebuild the XC9 roster or Genesis roster in NPL Phase 3. Obviously, they had lost K-Mind, which was a massive loss. K-Mind was fantastic back then whenever he played. One of the best players to play the game from North America. So he was looking to rebuild with Profi. And so he was looking for two players. He reached out to me because I had played with him a few times during NPL, just like scrims and stuff like that. He really liked me and like what I could bring to the team. So reached out to me. We kind of made it happen. It fit really well. We didn't really have that many issues. He really loved Mime. He gave him a chance because Mime wasn't really a big name back then. Really loved what he had to bring to the team, and it just kind of all fit together. We had, I think, 2 third place finishes back to back, and then we had won the PGS 2020 qualifier that didn't end up happening because COVID happened. So it kind of fit right away. We were still missing a little bit because we didn't have necessarily the firepower to win. right away, because I think Profi was really enjoying Valorant at the time, and he kind of was only putting in half the time. But at the time, he kind of deserved his roster spot because of all the time he had put in with HWin back then. So we weren't willing to just make him not be a part of the team anymore. So we kind of let that happen naturally. He really enjoyed Valorant, so I ended up going over, and that's whenever Tig joined.
And then speaking about, you four guys, you've been together now a long time when it comes to esports, and you've had so much domestic success. Like, let's be real, you're the most dominant team in NA. I think apart from the one time Kurt's roster won PCS, and the one or two times E United pipped you to it, you've won practically every domestic competition. Is the atmosphere in the team always like really good? Like, obviously, to be a good team, you need to get on in the game and off the server. Do you guys have that kind of vibe from the very first minute? Like, when Tig came in, did he fit in naturally straight away?
Yeah, whenever Tig came in, he did fit in naturally. We had, I think, that group stage of PCS that he played, we had a little bit of a blunder. But past then, it's generally been like rainbows and sunshine, Obviously, there are some moments where you guys disagree and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's always been great vibes. And obviously, bringing someone like Tig onto the team, he's very good at stuff like that. He's just naturally a funny person, and he's generally always positive. So it's really been great since he's joined the team. Even before that, it was great. Profi was a great guy as well. But yeah, obviously we have moments where we disagree and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's always clicked naturally.
Yeah. And let's talk about probably the best moment of your career so far. PGIS, you guys finished right on top. It's the highest you can possibly get in PUBG. You did it beating a massive rival in NA as well, Roth's roster. You beat those guys. What was it actually like playing on that tournament, and when did it kind of kick in that you guys were really about to win? Because obviously, you've won at the end, but sometimes you get a feeling, whether it's the last map, the second last map, that you think, yeah, this is actually ours to lose.
I don't think there was a moment like that exactly. I think going into the last day, we were in first, but it was by like a few points. And up until the last game, we actually were second or third going into the last game. We had 4M in front of us. So when they died in that game, because we actually ended up killing them with grenades that game, it kind of set in like, oh, we could possibly win, but your mind doesn't really go to that whenever you're like in the game. It's kind of just thinking like, what's next in front of you? Like, let's keep the ball rolling type thing. So I don't think it really set in until literally right after we died. Was like, holy, like we could have won this. Like, this was possibly ours to win, so it wasn't until after we died. It wasn't like an in the game scenario type thing. So, but yeah, it was an incredible moment for sure.
And how did it actually hit? Because people react differently at the time. Like, for you personally, what was the emotions that went through your mind? Because yes, you'd won a lot of money. PGIS is really nice from a prize pool standpoint, but you had just won a major international tournament, and at that moment in time, you guys were officially crowned the best team in the world.
So I think I think what went through my head was, the first thing was, yeah, obviously it was a lot of money, but I think a lot of people look at the money and think that that's what we care about a lot, but in reality, we're like competitors by nature. So whenever you win something like that, it's not so much as, oh my gosh, we just won a lot of money. It's how we get to consider ourselves the best team in the world, which I think is more important to me than the money at the end of the day, because I can make more money whenever I can't win a world championship, whenever, as seen past 2 years. But I think the first thing that actually went through my head was, we're not the Tempo Storm anymore. Because we could actually win internationally, but now we kind of are, because we win regionally and we don't win internationally. So working on fixing that. That's what's important right now.
And like, how in tune was your family and friends at the time of that? Because obviously we're still very new into esports. There's still a lot of kids being told by their parents, don't play those games. You're never going to make a career out of it. But at that point, you kind of prove to a lot of people this is genuinely a career for you guys? Like, were your parents and friends fully bought in before that, or did it take you guys winning something of that, stature for them to realize how big of a deal it was?
Yeah, so my mom wasn't fully bought in until she saw a salary come into my bank account, really.
Yeah.
Um, she didn't really understand, and I don't blame her at all. It's not like on
Mhm.
her really. It's on me for not being able to explain it and understand. And like even as a kid, all I really wanted to do was play games. So I totally understand why she
Mhm.
wouldn't understand it, you know? But yeah, she wasn't bought in until she saw that it was kind of like a normal job, but I just made a little more money when it came to
Mhm.
like the low paying jobs, like the minimum wage jobs that I had before. You know, I was making way more money through Sonics than I
Mhm.
ever was doing jobs like that. And then obviously we won tournaments and that was a lot of money. And then PGIS was kind of like, okay, like this is actually happening, you
Mhm.
know? So just that money coming into my bank account was the most important part to her.
Yeah, I can imagine that for you as a player. It's even tougher for the likes of me, talking to family friends. Yeah, so you talk over people playing games, and you're trying to make a living out of it. But honestly, I love where esports is going at the minute. I think PUBG starting to make some very good decisions again. There was a little while where I think maybe some fans were losing faith in the esports sides. But I want to
Yeah.
talk about Sonics itself. So to me, right now, Sonics globally are one of the best esports orgs in the world. The way that they treat their players, the way that they run their social media account, the way that they're so honest and open with their players. And then obviously a guy that I really admire, Super, has come on as, the head of Sonics. What's it like in the day to day working with Sonics when they've given you so much backing? Because let's be real, this is a time when more orgs seem to be leaving PUBG than teams that are doubling down and committing to their teams like Sonics are for you.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you to Sonics. They are
Mm-hmm.
incredible. And second off, whenever you have people like Bizzle and Luke behind the scenes, he's
Mm-hmm.
director of operations now, behind the organization, and people that genuinely care about their players and their organization, and they're not just in it for the money. Um, they're going to treat you well, and that's why I've wanted to work with Bizzle or Darren for so
Mm-hmm.
long. Even before, whenever he was on Team Gates, is because he would show up to events and he would be there in person, and I could talk to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he genuinely cared about what was going on. It wasn't just about how much money I could make or what can I get out of the players and stuff like that. It's what can I do for the players and what can I do for the scene and the organization. So when you have people like that behind it, and obviously bringing Super on now, that cares a lot. He played for the Rainbow Six team
Mm-hmm.
before, and he wants to see the org grow, and he wants to be a positive benefit to the org. So it's really incredible, and I'm genuinely grateful to be part of this organization because it's very refreshing to see an org that cares over an org that just wants the most out of the people that are on it.
Yeah, so then speaking about that support the org gives you, because obviously a lot of teams in PUBG are LFO at the minute and they don't have this kind of backing.
Mm.
So from what I know in other teams, you've got they've got performance analysts, they've got people in there to just talk to if you need to talk. There's more to it than just your own coach or your own analyst that you work with inside of PUBG.
Yeah.
Are Sonics kind of providing you with all that behind the scenes stuff too? Mental awareness, keeping yourself grounded. Like, is that all stuff that they've been really helpful with?
Yeah, so during PGS, we had a sports psychologist that we could talk to every day after games or after scrims, whenever we really wanted to. We could have meetings with her, and she was really helpful. Past then, we did not have one, but it was kind of a decision that we made. It wasn't really the org's
Mm-hmm.
decision. They made it very clear that we could have it whenever, and it's actually coming back this year. As a lot of people know, we had the documentary come out.
Mm-hmm.
We had some split decisions, and so we thought it would be good to have somebody to talk to this year. So we are having that come back, and yeah, we could have had somebody the whole time. So it's really a player decision, not so much of an organization decision.
It's so we've talked about the good times and how everything went rosy. And I don't think you can necessarily Sonics have had bad times because you haven't. You've still had so much domestic success. But on the international stage, since that PGIS, it's not quite been the same. Other regions have gotten a lot better. We've seen the gameplay style change a lot. When it comes to Sonics itself, what do you think has kind of gone wrong? Like, why do you guys think that at the international level teams aren't as afraid of you as maybe they would have been at the past, or why do you think it's been harder to get going?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think the main reason is that we just wanted to fight Pachinko Picado, and then we were split on the decision going into the last tournament. The first tournament, we wanted to fight Pachinko Picado. PGC 2021, we wanted to fight Pachinko Picado. The circumstances didn't go well for us, so we decided to move because there was two other teams that were going to fight there. And we just weren't prepared. And that was basically the same story this year. We weren't prepared for it. We thought we were going to fight it the whole time. Going after the first day, we decided to leave, and it was a split decision between the team. And whenever you have two sides of the team not wanting to do something and two sides of the team not wanting to do something, it's never going to go well. And whatever you do, whether it's business or gaming or sports, if not everyone's bought into the same mentality, it's never going to work out. So we have a new approach coming this year, so hopefully that'll fix it. If not, obviously there'll be more issues.
Yeah. So, genuine question then. Do you think the fact that you've been so dominant in NA and teams in NA tournaments tend to not hot drop you at any point? Like, as far as I can remember, it's been a long time since an NA team has decided to challenge you for those Pachinko Picado drops. Do you think that's been a bit of a problem? Like, would you rather have had teams do it a little bit more? Whether it is in scrims, whether it is in competitive, to get you used to fighting straight off the bat at a competitive level?
I don't think it's a problem. I think if we were going to fight there, then we could have done a little more preparation for that. But I don't think it really came down to fighting in Pachinko Picado. It really came down to our preparation for the event as a whole. You can't be perfect all the time. Even if we did get hot dropped, even if we did win every fight or lose every fight, we should have situations where we still come out on top regardless of what happens. So I really don't think it has anything to do with Pachinko Picado. I think we've only been dropped on twice in Pachinko Picado in the last 3 years, and it was by ATC, which was Marsalek, Aguila, Sharpshot, and somebody else. I forget who it was. But I think it was that roster that ended up hot dropping us for like 2 games. I could be wrong, could be misinformed, but it was ATC. I just don't know who was on the roster. I don't really think it has anything to do with that. I just think it was a preparation issue in general.
Speaking of Marsalek, what a guy. I love him. He's such a character, and he's got so much confidence as well. He's one of the people that say you probably enjoy fighting whenever you do end up in the same lobbies. So, looking forward then, 2023 sees a little bit of a change in the structure of the competitive mascot. We're getting more international lands, which is huge. For me as a fan, the fact that I'm going to get to see the top teams in the world compete more often than once a year is a big deal. As a player, how exciting is that? Because you're fine, you're going to get to play against the likes of, Navi a little bit more often. You're going to get to play the best teams in the world more. And as a whole, it'll probably get everybody better prepared for PGC when it comes back around too.
Yeah. This is kind of what you live for, right? We're competitors in nature. I saw that earlier. So whenever it comes to big internationals, that's what I want to do. That's what we want to do. We want to play against the best players in the world. As much as I do enjoy playing in North America, it's very easy to grow your confidence in North America because there's only a few people that will really, really push us and compete with us. In order for us to get a lot better, we do have to compete against the best teams in the world. And I really am looking forward to playing against them because our last few international performances have been very poor. And we want to change that. So that's what we're looking forward to. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I think the one thing PUBG is really missing, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it because you've played back in the National PUBG League, is that kind of a league structure that other esports have where you have 2 or 3 months of games that matter every single week. Is that something that you'd love to see come back in the coming years as well? Or do you think the days of having a league like that are gone?
I mean, of course, I would love to see that. I think that's the best structure you could have. But for PUBG, it would be very expensive, and I think everybody kind of understands that. It was, a lot of money that they dumped into NPL and PEL and all the leagues and stuff like that. So I think that the structure for COVID was really good, the COVID years, because it was a lot less money from them compared to like NPL. But for PGS, I'm assuming, I don't know exactly because we don't know what the format or structure is going to look like completely. But I'm assuming it's going to be like a week and a half or 2 weeks of a tournament for like an international or something. And then you just go on to the next tournament, like a small regional, and then you go on to the next international and stuff like that. So I don't think it'll be too much money. Obviously, I'd love for the structure like MPL to come back, but like logistically, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So yeah, obviously I would like it, but I don't think it will.
Well, one can only hope, I think, going forward. So you're obviously playing for Soniqs, the best team in NA now for quite a while. And I like to say it a lot in my casts is your guys' success and how well you've been doing has been improving all of the NA. Like everybody's trying to get to that level. When you are the team that is winning most of the national level tournaments, how do you continually focus on improving as well? Because like you said, you can become complacent if you are constantly winning and not being challenged. So how do you guys approach going into every tournament whenever you are the favorites when it comes to NA?
It's really nice to have teams like United and Yahoo and LG, Wildcard, teams like that can actually push you. It's hard to improve whenever you do win a lot, yes, but there's like a motivation factor inside of us that really pushes us. So if we ever lose a fight versus somebody or like an advantage fight that we don't think we should have ever lost, stuff like that, little things like that can really fire you up and really like push you to improve, because there's not a lot of improvement that can actually be done in NA in terms of like for us or United or Wildcard or LG, because we are pretty far ahead of the competition already. So there's only like a few teams that could really push us, and without those guys we would get way worse. So shout out to them for being here, because obviously you guys saw United do really well at PGC. I think they placed 4th and LG placed 4th the year before, or I think they were TSM at the time, but without those guys we would definitely get way worse. So shout out to them. But I think it really has to do with the motivation that inside of us, the fire that gets lit under us whenever we lose a fight or we have a bad day in terms of like PCS or scrims, you know, stuff like that. It really fires us up and motivates us.
Yeah, so that's actually the thing, though. There's a lot of teams that have improved a lot in NA lately. You know, you look at Wildcard in particular, Greg Shot seems to step his level up a long way, and they've got, I think, a good future. Roth's built another pretty good roster that'll play around his style of play pretty well. Luminosity, obviously, Kurt's hoping to recapture that magic too. So I think in NA, it is going to be a competitive year again, and it's going to be fun to watch. So let's actually talk about NA a little bit. Let's talk about some of the players, and we'll have a bit of fun with it. So something I've been asking players across all esports is about players you love to play against, players you hate playing against, and we'll kick it off with this one. In NA, who is the one player that you love getting into a gunfight with? Who would you say you have in your back pocket? So, for example, Kurt said Kickstart. He reckons he's got Kickstart in his back pocket every day of the week.
I enjoy playing against Rello. I think Rello is extremely solid. For United, he's kind of the guy that's going to be in front. He's kind of the guy that's calling the shots, and usually it's me and Mime in front for our team. So it's really nice for Rello. He's mechanically extremely solid. And he's kind of the guy that you look at that's kind of like the sleeper for United, because they have so many star fraggers around them. Like you have Snakers who could just pop up at any moment. Kickstarter is obviously one of the best players in the world. Flood, who proved that he could be one of the best players in the world at PGC. But for me, it's Rello to fight against. I really love playing against Rello. He really doesn't make very many mistakes, puts his team in good position, and knocking him just feels very like satisfying, because I know that going against him is a really tough challenge. So,
and then talking about players you hate playing against, you know, somebody who you hate their style of play, you hate how, you know, you just feel like in gunfights they always either A, get the better of you, or B, just really frustrate you. Who in NA would that be?
Anybody with ping. Literally any Australian player or Nikos, because they're so I mean, they're not laggy, they just have a lot of ping, so it's like hard to play around it and against it. You know, if you don't know who you're fighting and you run up against League 12 or Nikos, they're gonna absolutely roll you because it's just hard to react to them whenever they have like 200 ping. So anybody with ping is tough. So
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things too you have to deal with, because obviously in NA, when you get to the PCS level, you have to compete with LATAM as well. And you know, it's one of those things that works both ways. You know, those guys don't like playing on the high ping. You guys don't like playing against it. So hopefully it's something we'll see maybe remedied over the course of this year. So
hopefully the regional events are lands.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Yeah. So talking then about, you know, the fact that you've been playing on this really good team for a long time. You've not had the opportunity to really play at a competitive level with other players for a long time. And something I keep asking is, if you could pick a team of players to play with that aren't on your current team, so, you know, 3 guys that you would love to maybe play on a team with, whether it's for one event only or, you know, just in general, who would they be?
Can I choose somebody from a different region?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Okay, if I could choose 3 players that I would want to play with, I would want to play with Soniqs. I would want to play with. That's tough. I think I'd want to play with Soniqs, Uba, and Aches left. I want to play with Aches left. That'd be fun.
I saw he was playing with one of your teammates yesterday on Twitch. It looked like it was a pretty fun stack. But yeah, I think we'll step away from esports now a little bit, because obviously you do a lot of work on Twitch. We spoke about that before we came on. You know, it's something you enjoy doing. It's another way for you to connect with a player as well, or with the fan base as well. As someone who plays for a team like Soniqs, where there is a huge fan base, like I feel like you guys are almost like, you know, the Patriots or Man United, where people either people love you or people love to hate you. You know, that's kind of where you guys fall. How important is it to you to be able to connect with fans on Twitch, and how much do you enjoy just being able to go on live, play games that aren't necessarily as competitive, and have such a massive amount of people just watching, wanting to hang out with you?
It's extremely important for me and for us, I think, as a team and an org. We know how popular we are, and without the fans and without the community behind us, we're nothing. So without them, it's like we might as well not be here. So being able to connect with them it's extremely important for us. It's crucial for the organization's growth. It's crucial for our involvement in the esport. And we're just extremely grateful for them, because like I said, without them we wouldn't be here. So and I remember in 2019, whenever Tempo would win everything and they wouldn't stream or they wouldn't do content, it made me very angry, because everybody wanted to see them and they didn't do anything. And whenever it went to internationals, everybody would make fun of them because nobody knew anything about them. You know, like, if you are going to be one of the best teams or players, you know, make a brand for yourself, make a name for yourself, because people want to know, people want to see you.
I'll give you guys a lot of credit. You've done that. All the Soniqs guys, a couple of players in NA Pubg really have done a great job of making themselves a brand and being well known. So we've obviously just had the break after PGC, and that's kind of a time I think a lot of people like to just step away and, you know, relax, get back to, you know, doing some hobbies and keeping themselves occupied. When you're not playing or streaming, what is it that you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies?
Friends and family, number one. Hanging out with them is the most important thing to me if I'm not gaming, because obviously my family supports me and they love me, and being around people that you love is extremely important, and you shouldn't take them for granted, so definitely don't do that. So yeah, friends and family, number one. I work out a little bit, not really a lot, but that's kind of a hobby as well. I enjoy just watching the game from the side as well. Like, I enjoy watching all the Chinese leagues and Korea leagues and all the European tournaments that go on. I enjoy watching that. Obviously Netflix and stuff. But yeah, for the main part, it's just family and friends. Whenever I'm not gaming, I'm spending time with them, because PUBG can be a very frustrating game. So being around people that bring you back up is really nice.
Yeah, I think that's something everybody in any line of work should take, is put your friends and family first, because they're the guys that'll always have your back. So we've come kind of the end of the interview, Shrimzy. It's been really good for you to give me your time. So the last question I have for you is, what do you want to say to the Soniqs fans or just your fans ahead of 2023?
I just want to say thank you guys, first off, for the previous support that you guys have given us. It's fantastic. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here, like I said before. And look forward to this year, because there should be some big things, you know. No spoilers, but hopefully we get some things that are coming out in 2023 for PUBG. I don't know yet, but I'm hoping that we get it. If not, you know, nothing's going to change. We're still going to be here gaming, streaming, and everything. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys, and look forward to this year.
I wonder what you could be talking about, Shrimzy. So, well, look, as I said, it was an absolute pleasure. Really good to talk to you. I think you're one of the really good guys inside of the scene. I wish you and the boys nothing but success in 2023, and hopefully you can show up at those international events and remind everybody what you're capable of. So, to all the viewers, make sure to give Shrimzy a follow on Twitch and Twitter and all of his socials if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying the content, please show the channel some love as well. But it's been an absolute pleasure, everyone. Take care, and Shrimzy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gibson.